part 2 of the bonus content from my talk about voice search and how businesses can be preparing for voice search. That's what we'll cover in this brief episode of Agile Digital Business, and I've added in a couple of extra bonus bits of content for you. Let's get rolling.
You're listening to Agile Digital Business with host Vickie Maris. She's an author, speaker, and marketer, helping you with your business transition to digital in content marketing and customer engagement.
Well, welcome back to Agile Digital Business. This is episode 16. My name is Vickie Maris. I would like to jump right in and take you to a few points out of a blog post that was posted by Pragmatic.digital. Pragmatic is a terrific resource for all things voice. They shared in that blog post that Gartner has gone on record as stating that by the year 2021, early adopter brands that redesign their websites to support visual and voice search will increase digital commerce revenue by 30%. That's a quote from the blog post at Pragmatic.digital. Another section of that particular article that stood out to me as I was reading through it a second time is the thought about our organization's sonic branding. How your brand sounds can be critical in building your customer relationships. According to the post, the word choice, tonal expression, and inflection, they're all playing a role in your brand's persona. I would love to hear from you about what kind of steps your company or your organization is taking as you give thought to your sonic brand. Or maybe you aren't yet taking steps to work on that persona of your sonic brand and are interested in getting started. Honestly, it's pretty new for me as well, so I'm excited to learn more. I am such a fan of all things voice, podcasting, use of smart speakers, and audiobooks. I have found that to be really important in my work as an author to make sure that I was narrating my books so they would be in that audio format. It seems like such an interesting topic to pursue as part of our overall digital marketing strategy. For this podcast, when I think of you, my listener, I typically am picturing the participants of the executive education sessions that I've taught at the university, or the people I've spoken to after I've given a talk at a conference. I often will have people that will find me out in the hallway either before or after a session, and we get talking about something that is either coming up in a talk or something that I've just shared. And I always make a few mental notes about the demographics represented. That helps me as I'm collecting content to share with you here on the podcast. I really do want it to align with what you're interested in learning more about. Your time is so valuable, and I want you to feel like it's well spent when you are hanging out with me here on the podcast. I know you are aware of this already, but I'm going to say it again here in this episode. I am a huge fan of paying attention to the voice of the customer. So each time that you reach out to me and share with me something that you're working on in your business, something that you would like to be learning more about as it pertains to the voice platform, maybe it was an interview that you heard on the show in a previous episode and you would like to dig a little deeper into one of the subjects that was discussed, that is really helpful to me in getting the content well aligned. If you'd like to send me an email with some ideas for future episodes, you can do so at agiledigitalbusiness@gmail.com. I would really love for you to become a part of my community of listeners at my Patreon account, and you'll find it at patreon.com/Vickie Maris, VICKIEMARIS. All right, let's now go to the bonus content. This would be part 2 of the bonus material that I shared with participants in Certificate in Executive Management in the session about voice search and how we can be integrating voice search marketing into our overall digital marketing plan. And if we aren't the ones that are actually doing the strategy and making it happen, I was presenting it in a way so that it could be easily passed along to the people on the team who are responsible for it. So here's the part 2 of that bonus material. When we left off with part 1, which was the episode just previous to this one, episode 15 of Agile Digital Business, I was sharing with you some insight from Marcus Sheridan of the Sales Lion and some of his insight about video. So I encourage you to go back and listen to that bit of content. So let's pick up here on the rest of the bonus content handout document. I share some ideas about the concept of a brand evangelist. I want you to consider the examples of Guy Kawasaki and his role as Canva chief evangelist and also brand ambassador for Mercedes Benz USA. And from a startup, the example from my podcast guest, Brielle Nickoloff of Witlingo. I'm not sure she refers to herself as a brand evangelist or chief evangelist, but that's certainly how I interpreted what she is doing for that organization. She's my guest on episode 14 of Agile Digital Business. Her company sends her to conferences and gives her rein to speak on podcasts about her expertise and about the company's services. Both of these entrepreneurs are working in roles for businesses that provide them with the space to develop their personal brands as they serve as evangelists for products and or services of the companies they're representing. So this is just an idea I want to pass along to you. I'm always churning with different ideas that I might put into play for my own development of a personal brand or ideas for the university where I'm working. Here's one for you to think about. Rather than recruiting for the position of brand evangelist, how about we hire a customer who already is an evangelist for our brand? Look for that person who's already amplifying the message of your products and services in their social media channels, who might be attending conference events that you're either sponsoring or you're bringing your staff members to speak on a certain subject at a conference, and that person is always there in the audience and talking with your company representative after they're done with their session. I'm sure you can picture right now somebody who is one of your customers who would be a great person to hire as your brand evangelist. I would love to hear your thoughts on that particular idea. Is it something you think you could put into play if you're not already? As we are now in this season of voice, with voice being such an important part of how our customers are reaching out to us and how we need to be making our information available to them, it seems like a really great fit to have somebody on your team who is in that role as brand evangelist. All right, this is another piece of that bonus content, and it's a section I wrote about developing personal brands. As you develop your own personal brand and you lean into your area of expertise, you can create content that your marketing team can use as they're promoting. They can link to it. They can reference it in other articles. They can use it all throughout the social media channels. It's a really impactful way to develop authority in a vertical niche. I can think of several people who do this really well from the C-suite. So picture a CEO who's also writing a blog on a regular basis about their own area of interest and expertise. Or maybe somebody on the team who has their own podcast. Maybe it's somebody who's sharing their expertise in a personal branded YouTube channel. You kind of get the idea. There's so many ways that you can share your excitement about your expertise and build your authority in a niche as you're doing that. Consider what content can you drive? What can you contribute for your organization that no one else knows? You might seek out a publication or two that you can label as your goal publications. Maybe it's writing a guest article in Forbes or a guest post on a blog that is aligned with your expertise. Or you could ask to guest on a podcast that is aligned with your area of expertise. Now that Google is indexing podcasts and they're transcribing them so to make it easier to index them, every time you add content in your area of expertise, you're making it easier for your organization to be found upon search. And the last thing I had in this extra bonus content was thinking more specifically about searches. An increasing percentage of searches that I like to think of as the, quote, I'll just Google it type of screen searches is moving over to voice searches. Siri, Google Assistant, Cortana, Alexa, others. I'll leave you with this question. Is your content represented at the top of search in those voice queries? Thank you for listening. I do encourage you to go back and listen to part 1 of the bonus content, which was episode 15. And I would love for you to listen to my interview with Brielle Nickoloff if you haven't already. That episode was 2 episodes ago in the show. It's episode 14. Brielle and I had a very interesting conversation about the importance of a company or an organization having a voice portal. Thank you for listening to Agile Digital Business. I am Vickie Maris. Please join me this week. Let's go out and teach, inspire, and connect.